All right, ladies, good morning. So today we are going to be doing something similar to yesterday, identifying and comparing the themes of fables. So before we get started, I want you to pause the video and write down all of the characteristics of fables that you remember from yesterday. And pause. All right, ladies, so you can play back whenever you want to, and you can check me at the end. All right, so I'm going to give you a little challenge there at the beginning. Okay, so similar to yesterday, we're identifying those similarities. That compare word is our clue word that we're going to be doing similarities, not differences. So let's do our first read. Themes in literature, again, Aesop's Fables. These are very, very famous fables. Again, we'll go over those characteristics towards the end. I don't want to give anything away. The dogs and the hides. So again, hides are like the skins of animals. The tanner put some animal hides at the bottom of a stream to soak. Several hungry dogs noticed the hides but realized the water was so deep that they couldn't reach the hides from the bank. So they came up with a plan. They decided to drink the water from the river until it uncovered the hides. All of the dogs began drinking water as quickly as they could. Regardless of their effort, the water remained as high as ever. They drank and they drank and they drank until each of them burst. The theme for that one, don't try to do the impossible. The frog and the ox. An ox came to a pond to drink. He was splashing in the water. As he was splashing in the water, he accidentally crushed a young frog in the mud. Soon afterward, the frog's older sister missed him and asked her brothers and sisters what happened to him. It was a terrible accident, one replied. A great big monster stepped on our brother, said another. So this monster was quite big, replied the sister frog, puffing herself up. Was he as big as this? Much bigger, they responded. The sister frog puffed herself up some more. Surely he can't be bigger than this, she said. But her brothers and sisters declared that the monster was much bigger. The sister frog continued to puff herself up more and more until she finally burst. Do not attempt the impossible. So very, very similar language in our themes today. So let's take a look and preview our questions before we do our second read. All right, number one. Both of these Aesop's fables have the same theme, which is that a person should not try to do the impossible. Why do you think the author felt that this message was important enough to write about? So, this is kind of a fun question. So, what you're doing here is you're evaluating the theme. Why do you think the author thought that, hey, I should write the story so that I can teach this message of a person should try not to do the impossible? So, why do you think he did that? Interesting question. Number two, why the dogs want to drink all the water out of the river? Straight comprehension question, so make sure that you have wrap. No detail should be in your inference. Make an inference. Why would it be impossible to drink all of the water from the river? So the inference is it would be impossible to drink all the water in the river, and then you need to give your rationale for that and then kind of back it up. Number four, why did the sister frog keep puffing herself up? Straight comprehension. Again, back it up with your details. Ooh. Number five, evaluative. We really have to turn our noggins on for this one. I really like some of these questions. Do you agree with the author's theme? Why or why not? So do you agree that people should not try to do the impossible? Can't wait to hear what you think. All right, so it is now time to close read. So ladies, in just a moment, you're going to pause and close read. You're going to chunk your text, circle and attempt to define unknown words, underline key information. Remember to focus on information that would help to support your answers because you've already previewed your questions and applied that excellent strategy. You're summarizing in the margin and you're identifying any elements that may be helpful. Okay, so we have very short passages. If you can only do one chunk, that's fine, but I challenge you to do two chunks and really break it apart to summarize in those margins. So it's time to pause and do your close read. And in a moment, you can check your work against mine. All right, characteristics of fables. A little sloppy here. I'm saying really had big font, and then again, working in pen. That's why I should work in pencil. Okay, so fable, story to teach a lesson, personification, exaggerated, fiction, not always a happy ending. Okay, so again, I broke apart our learning target, similar one to yesterday. I can identify, discover, figure out, and then compare the themes of fables, find those similarities in fables. So let's take a look at the dogs and the hides first. So, a tanner is someone who makes clothing and furniture, kind of works with leather again, hides, skins of animals, work with leather. Not the most pleasant, but here we go. Um, Hides are at the bottom of the stream to soak. That's what he's doing, right? That's part of his job. Hides again are skins. The bank of a river is that side of the river. And then the dogs, I underlined, they decided to drink all the water from the river until it uncovered the hides. That was their big plan. So my summary notes in the margins, dogs wanted the hide, so they drank the river water. Okay. So then for the next one, they remained as high as ever. That water level, I think that's important. They drank and they drank and they drank until each of them burst. Okay. They drank too much water and burst. Those are my summary notes for the margin, pretty self-explanatory. So what I did, as you can see here, is I added 3 additional themes here. So don't bite off more than you can chew, set realistic goals, and know your limits. Okay. So now let's take a look at the frogs and the og. I mixed up my words. The frog and the ox. There we go. So, an ox came to drink at the pond. I think that's interesting because oxen usually are like farm animals, so them coming to a pond is a little interesting. So, um, and he accidentally crushed a young frog in the mud. That was our big event that happened that caused the conversation between the siblings. So the sister missed and asked the brothers and sisters what happened to him. So, summary notes for the margin: if the frog gets crushed by the ox and the siblings look. Okay, so then for the next paragraph, this is when they get in and the sister keeps puffing herself up to show that size. Um, the monster is the ox. And so again, she's telling them this, and then they're kind of going through all of these different sizes. So Sister Frog bursts when she keeps trying to get bigger to show the size of the ox. So again, very similar to um, the above theme. Do not try the impossible, don't attempt the impossible. And again, very much so for knowing your limits. So before we get in, let's see about the characteristics that they each had for Fables. Okay, both definitely taught a lesson. Personification, I think, was given in both of them for the dogs to be able to come up with a plan. It's very interesting, right? That's kind of a human quality. And then we have frogs talking, so definitely personification. Exaggerated, absolutely. Absolutely exaggerated. It's a fictional story, and it does not have a happy ending. All the characters burst. Okay, commonalities between fables. Both burst at the end. Unrealistic expectations, right? Um, and both of these could have been prevented, which I think is kind of silly, which, both of them could be prevented. Maybe they wouldn't have had to burst. So again, we went over this. Characteristics of fables are exaggerated. The talking and planning of animals, that's the personification, and that lesson is learned with that unhappy ending. So let's take a look at questions. And again, you are comparing your questions to mine. You are not just copying. So question 1, again, I put the notes up at the top that this is an evaluative question. Why did the author want to teach this lesson? I rewrote it in my own words. Again, that's a nice strategy. If you come across a question that you're just like, I'm not quite sure what it's asking me, break it apart. Close read your question, rewrite it in your own words. So that's here what I did. And I said, I think the author felt that this was important because people should use common sense so they don't get hurt doing foolish things. If the dogs didn't try to drink all the water, they wouldn't have burst. And if Sister Frog didn't puff herself up so big, she wouldn't have burst. Okay, so again, I gave my inference about people should use common sense, and then I backed it up and pulled a detail from each of these stories. If we're talking about both of Aesop's fables, you need to make sure that you're gathering details from both of those stories to support that inference of yours. So number 2, straight comprehension. The dog wanted to drink all of the water so that they could get to the hides. There's my inference. And then I need my 2 details to support it, and I chose to take one directly from the text, and then I paraphrase the next. So it says, the text states, they decided to drink all the water from the river until it uncovered the hides. And then I paraphrase my next detail. The dog's plan backfired because the water level remained high, and they all burst. Okay, so number 3, make an inference. A reminder, an inference is not in our text. We need to infer. We need to use our background knowledge along with our new content to make that inference. Impossible to drink all the water. One reason it is impossible to drink all the water is that a river is usually connected to an ever-flowing larger body of water. Another reason is that it is way too large an amount to consume. Okay, so again, they give us our inference, right? it is impossible to drink all of the water, okay? So I gave my 2 details to support that. So number 4, straight comprehension question about our second fable. So it says the sister got caught up in showing how big the monster was and kept puffing herself up. Her siblings kept encouraging her to puff up bigger. The sister frog burst from puffing up so much. All right, and number 5, do you agree with the author's theme? Why or why not? So this is the one I really can't wait to hear and discuss at our next Zoom, if you agree or disagree. So let's take a look and see what I said. I said, I do agree with the author's theme because it can be unsafe if you don't know your limits. Not all stories need to have happy endings. Sometimes you need an unhappy ending to learn an important lesson. But very clear, I want to make this. This theme applies to physical limitations, not dreams and goals. So I wanted to just clarify that readers knew that that's what I was thinking there. All right, ladies, I can't wait to hear your discussion, especially about question number 5. Thank you.